Hello and welcome to another edition of Aquatics Live, Saturdays, 11 a.m. I got a lot to cover today. We are going to talk about our new member, uh, Mr. Adam Carroll. Thank you very much for your membership. I appreciate that. Just to remind you guys, I have a membership. We have rookies and we have varsity members, and they get special privileges, special members only content, members only Q&As. If you have questions, you want more access to me personally, check out our memberships. And I call you Mr. You get the Mr. moniker. So Mr. Adam Carroll, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We have our new book coming out, our second in our Child's Guide, coming out soon in a few weeks. Child's Guide to Gratitude and Happiness. So look forward to that. We're really excited about that. Super excited about that. Gratitude and happiness. Who doesn't want to teach their kids about gratitude and happiness? Everybody does. So that's what we're trying to do with that new book. I am coaching soccer, my son's soccer class. I'm coaching it next week. And that led me to start thinking about what are the similarities between soccer and water polo? There are many. There's many similarities between between water polo and every sport. I'm just going to highlight a few between soccer and water polo as I was starting to think about how I would coach soccer. One of the things is when you bring the soccer ball into you, when someone's kicking you the soccer ball, you reach out in front with your foot and you absorb the ball back. Well, that's the same thing when you're catching a water polo ball, right? We teach hand on top of the water. And then when the ball's passed, you reach up in front and absorb the ball back, right? Same thing in soccer. Reach out in front with the foot, absorb the ball. Why do we do that? So that it's a softer catch, right? So the ball's not bouncing off your foot or bouncing off your hand. We want to absorb it, absorb that momentum from the ball. So we have a soft catch. In water polo, it's nice too, because when you absorb it back, it's almost like you're cocking the gun, bringing that arm back. Now you're ready to come forward with some power. So that's the other reason in water polo. When I used to have soccer players come into my water polo program, one of the things I noticed about them is they were great passers. They had great court vision. So one of the things that soccer teaches kids and anybody is the passing lanes and the vision to pass the ball and to make passes, because you have to be a great passer in soccer. And when they come in and as water polo players, they're great passers and they're really looking for their teammates. So that's one thing I noticed. So the passing, absorbing the ball, that's just a couple similarities between soccer and water polo. Today, I want to talk about swim lessons for your kids. And then I want to talk about the video that we just released on our Aquatics YouTube page about irritating the offensive player when you're the defender. So we're talking about swim lessons. We're going to talk about irritating the offensive player. And I will answer any questions that you have. As I go, you can shoot your questions in whenever you want. And when I get a break, a pause, and then I will take those questions. All right? So swim lessons. It's almost summertime. It's almost time to get your kids into swim lessons. If you have younger kids, you're trying to get them pool safe, right? There's this method out there for younger kids. I think it's called the Dan method. I'm not sure. And it's where you kind of throw the kids in and they sink or swim kind of thing. The positives of this method, they say, is that it gets the kids pool safe quickly because they're either pool safe or they suck in the water. But it's a very intense form of swim lesson. It works for some kids, but there's a certain percentage of kids, when thrown in the water like that, forced to sink or swim, that develop a huge fear of the water from these swim lessons. And this is where my wife would come in, because my wife taught swim lessons and she kind of specialized in these kids. So kids would come to her, parents would come to her and say, my kid is terrified of the water. He had a swim lesson, they threw him in, he choked on the water, and now he refuses to get in the water. Over and over and over again, we hear this. So then my wife would have to slowly work with them and make them comfortable with the water again. And then eventually she would get them going. It was a lot of hard work. And so when we started seeing this over and over again, this same pattern, we realized that this technique, while it works for some kids, a certain percentage, I'm going to say 20 to 30%, develop a huge fear of the water. And that's a problem. The other problem with it is it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to teach kids pool safety and how to stay afloat by terrifying them. There's other ways to do it. So what you're doing is you're taking 20 to 30% and giving them a huge fear of the water when you don't need to do that. So you need to find, you parents, when you're looking for swim lessons for your kids to get pool safe, I would avoid those classes where they just throw them in. Any class where you're sitting on the sideline going, oh God, where your heart rate's pounding because of what they're doing to your kid, get them out. It shouldn't be like that. You should be at your kid's swim lesson with a smile on your face because they're having so much fun. Because there's a way to teach kids pool safety and floating and kicking while they have a blast doing it. Because kids naturally love the water if you do it right. If you teach them to be afraid of the water, then they're going to hate it. So, rule of thumb, if you're smiling and they're having fun, that's a sign of something good. And they're learning to float and they're learning the skills. If it takes 6 months longer, I think it's worth it because the alternative is the possibility that they develop a fear of the water and a hatred of the water. And then you have to spend 2 years and countless dollars trying to get them acclimated back to the water again. I mean, I don't know how many times my wife had to sit on the side of a spa with the kids' feet in the water because they were terrified they had a bad experience with a swim lesson. So you don't want to have to go through that. So I highly recommend if it takes 6 months longer, like I said, it's worth it if you inculcate a love of the water with your kids. See, remember that too. We're not just teaching them skills to save their lives so they can float on their back so they can kick. What you're trying to do is develop a love of the water. You want your kids to love the water. So give them the swim lesson that's going to shape them into that. Now, we have a few videos. My wife did a few videos on our site. I can send those to you or you can just find them. They're really good. It's how to teach your own kid how to swim. And basically all you need to do, you blow, I mean, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on this, right? Get them to blow bubbles, go underwater, blow bubbles, roll them on their back, work on their freestyle kick, make sure they're not bending their knees, right? We have those videos. You can take a look at those. They're really good. What you can do is if you're struggling getting your kids to do what you want them to do, give them like goldfish in between. I'll give you kids will go crazy for goldfish or gummy bears, right? One package of gummy bears has how many gummy bears in it? Like it's 10. It used to be like 50. Now it's 10. Okay. So you get one gummy bear after you kick with your feet, right? And then you can give it to them at the end of the practice. 2 gummy bears, bribe them. Bribe them. You save yourself hundreds of dollars and you can do it better and have fun with your kid in the water. Search for those on our site, the swim lessons with Brittany, how to float, how to kick, how to roll over, how to use the pool noodle. It's all really good stuff. So that's my take on swim lessons as you guys are getting into summer and trying to teach your kids how to float and kick and be water safe. And I'm going to pivot to the recent video that we just uploaded. And I'll say real quick, if you have questions, hit me up with a question, something going on with your team. I encourage you, bring your teammates here on Saturday and we'll all talk together, fix what's going on with your team. If there's some issue going on, let's fix it right here. I'm happy to do that. But the video we just released is called Irritate the Offensive Player. Now, how, as a defensive player, can we irritate the offensive player? Disciplined defense is the key. You want to irritate. Now, we're talking one-on-one right now. One-on-one defense. Okay, you're guarding the guy. How do you irritate them? The first thing you need to do is not drop your hips. That's discipline. Okay, it's easy to drop your hips. What do I mean by drop my hips? If I go straight up and down vertical in the water, that's dropping my hips. Right? If I'm guarding a guy and I go straight up and down vertical in the water, now I make the offensive player's life super easy. because he can blow by me. He can pull back for an RB. He can hook me around the waist. There's all kinds of things he can do. I make his life so easy. But if I keep my hips up and I move and stay in front of him, arm's distance away, then I make his life really difficult. And that's how you irritate him. Like I said in the video, on the lineup, you want your guy, the guy you're guarding, you want him to look across at you and go, oh, God, not this guy again. I hate when this guy guards me. That's what you want. So you got to keep your hips up when he moves. Most offensive players are used to the defender dropping their hips. It's just like I was working with Lee a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, and I said, most of your defenders, they're straight up and down, right? Dropping their hips on you. He's like, yep, they are. Right. Unfortunately, most defenders just drop their hips. So as the offense, we got to take advantage of that hook and turn. But as the defender, we have to be better than that. Right? We have to keep our hips up. These offensive players are accustomed to the defender dropping their hips. So that's what they rely on for their move. They rely on being able to hook and turn. They rely on being able to get past. If you're the defender with your hips up, you're going to frustrate the heck out of that offensive player because he's not used to that. He's used to the defense dropping their hips. So watch that video. It's called Irritate the Offensive Player. It involves keeping your hips up, staying in front of your man. Why do we stay arm's distance away? You don't want to get too close to the offensive player because even if you have your hips up, if you're super close to them, they can beat you. They can still hook you. Arm's distance away is the perfect distance away. A little bit of elbow bend, arm's distance away. You're close enough to make a play on the ball if they get the ball, but you're far enough away to give a little cushion so you don't get beat. So you want that arm's distance away. Hips up, hand on, hips up, head on a swivel, man ball, man ball, man ball, man ball, back and forth. That's how you irritate the offensive player. All right, give me some questions. I'm here. I'm here for your questions. We talked swim lessons. We talked our new video. I thanked our new member. Remember, we have our memberships. Take advantage of that. We have our new book coming out on gratitude and happiness. We look forward to that. And I'm going to be coaching my kids' soccer team, so I'll let you know how that goes. If there's no questions, we'll leave it there for today. And I will see you guys next week when we resume Shaquatics Live next Saturday, 11 a.m. Hey, Mr. Lee. All right, Mr. Lee has a question. Good exercises. He wants good exercises to help me swim faster. Lee, before I answer that question, I want to know now that I told you a couple weeks ago, all your defenders are dropping their hips. Were you able to get some good hooks in these last couple weeks? Let me know. Be honest. Don't tell me what I want to hear. I'm just curious, Lee, if you had some good hooks. Good exercises to help me swim faster. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about swimming is reaching, stretching, and gliding. So the first thing I'd want you to do, Lee, is when you're warming up, really work on reaching and stretching your whole body before you pull. Okay? And once you've reached and stretch, then you've really got to grip the water fast and break that elbow hard for that initial pull. You don't want to pull straight down, right? You want to grip the water, kind of like when we're shooting the ball and we come over the top like that. That's similar to what you're doing in swimming when you do that first catch of the water, right? You enter, glide, and then catch. You got to break that elbow and really, that's what allows you to really pull that water fast right away. That's going to get you swimming faster. So reach, stretch, and glide, and then boom, really catch that water hard. That would be my first two things to get you swimming faster. The last thing that I really worked on when I was in college was really finishing my stroke. I found out, so if I can come up, I found that as I finished on my freestyle stroke, I would come to here a lot of times, and then I would just pull up. Well, I'm missing all of this. I'm missing all of this action on the end. So I would really try to finish the stroke and then come up in my freestyle. So you can do that. A lot of times when we work something, we exaggerate the motion. So on your warm up, Lee, you can flip the water back with your hand, just exaggerate it so you can feel all that water being pushed. And then that will help your body kind of get used to finishing the stroke. Because think about it, if every stroke you get a little extra push on that, that's every stroke you're getting extra push and you're going to swim faster because of it. So reach, stretch, and glide, the catch, and then finishing that stroke would be 3 things I would work on. It's a great question. All right, not most days. Okay, so Lee's answering my question. I was able to hook and turn defenders many times. Very good, very good. And I'll just piggyback on that. What I told Lee and what you guys need to know is you're never gonna, like, let's say I have the ball and I'm going in to my defender. You're never gonna be able to hook your defender if you take your off arm and put it up by his neck, right? You got to get your off arm down low around his midsection so that you can hook and turn when that defender, like I said, drops his hips. So you got to go up and in and get that off arm low. You're never going to be able to do it up here. All you're going to get up here is a push off, right? So take advantage of those defenders that don't have good defensive position. Get them in low and then give them a nice hook and turn. And then tell them to watch my video and get their hips up. That's good. I'm glad, Lee. Keep doing that, man. That's gonna be so easy for you once you get really good at hooking and turning. Let's see. Swim off. Let's see. Dushan, how you doing? Good morning. How to master it or make it faster. Are you talking about the sprint? Do you call it swim off? Do you guys call that a swim off? Is that a sprint? We call it a sprint. But I want to know. I've never heard swim off before. Sprint. But does anybody call it a swim off, Dushan? I want to know. I'm just curious. Is that like some European thing? Because that would be cool. I would want to know that. Oh, by the way, before I answer your question about the sprint, Dushan, by the way, I am currently writing a book on water polo. I'm doing it. I wanted to do it for many years. I'm writing a book on water polo, and it's going to have all of the techniques and skills and drills. There's going to be videos accompanying each one. So as you read the book, you can go to the little video and watch it. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited about it. I'm almost done with it, and then I have to proofread it, which it's going to be a bear, but I'm excited about it. Okay, the sprint. So how to master it or make it faster. In fact, it's funny. I was talking with Lee about this a few weeks ago on the sprint too. We have a video on the sprint, Dushan, so I highly recommend watching that. It's really good. In fact, I could link it here real quick while I'm kind of explaining to you a couple things that you should do. On the sprint, like I was telling Lee a few weeks ago, you want to start head down. You don't want to start head up because it's faster swimming head down. And then you want to pick your head up like four, 5 strokes before you get to the ball. So you kind of know where the ball is. So you start head down, burst of speed, and then maybe 3, 4 strokes before the ball, pick your head up so you can get to that ball and flip it underneath. So let me link that. Let me see. That's the video right there. Let me mark. So that's the sprint video. There we go. But that's my main thing on how to, so that's one thing on how to get your sprint faster is don't go head up the whole way. Head down, burst of speed, and then pop your head up at the end. The second thing you got to do on the sprint is most sprints, well, if you're playing at the younger levels, you might be pushing off a wall. If you're pushing off a wall, then what I'm going to say next doesn't apply. But as you get up levels, you're not pushing off a wall anymore. So you're going from a cold, right? From in the water going with no push off of any kind. Okay. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can You can be sideways in your egg beater and then pop with a breaststroke kick into your freestyle, or you can be like in a crab facing forward and pop into your freestyle. I've seen it both ways. You got to pick what works for you. But the main principle is that you're up. You have to have your hips up, right? Think about it. Freestyle is swum horizontally, right? So if you start vertically, then when the referee says go, you've got to go to horizontal. Well, that's a waste of time. Now you've lost, right? So you start horizontal so that when he says go, you're gone. So that's one principle. Start hips up, horizontal. Second principle, the most powerful kick is a breaststroke kick. So you start with a powerful breaststroke kick, and then you launch into your freestyle. Number 3, double arm pull. This is a little trickier. I wonder if I have a video on this. It might be in the initiating the drive. In fact, I think it is. Let me link that here too. So that initiating the drive, I talk about how to pop into your drive. And that would be the same thing that I would want you to do on the sprint. It's like a double arm pull. So how to beat your defender and initiating the drive. That's here. I'm going to link that for you right here, Dushan, so you can take a look at that. And so initiate the drive. There it is. Okay, so on that one, I talk about a double arm pull where you got kind of one arm out in front and one arm back. This second arm's finishing the stroke. So you finish, pull, and then go. It just gets you like started quickly into your freestyle. So the breaststroke kick with the double arm pull with the hips up is how I pop and get your sprint going. It's a great question. Great question. So let's see. Swim. Sprint video, especially the beginning. Yeah, the first strokes. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. All right. But Dushan, you didn't tell me, is a swim off? Does anyone call it a swim off? Or did you just call it a swim? You just make that up right on the spot. I need to know. I'm just curious. All right, hit me questions, guys. I'm here. Talk to me. What do you want to know about? I just uploaded the 3-on-2 counter skill sheet for our members. So that's for those of you who don't know, I'm uploading slowly my skill sheets that I have for various things for our members to take a look at. Some part of our members only content. No more questions? All right. Oh, I just heard that. Okay. It might be. It might be called a swim off somewhere. I call it a sprint. And in the Olympics and in college, I think they sprint in the middle, and they have that little disc, the little disc that goes down, and the ball's in the middle. That's awesome. But in high school, we always sprinted up the sides. So it's a little different when you're going down the middle, but same principles. Wolf Weigo says to swim off. Oh, see, isn't he from New York? Maybe that's an East Coast thing. Those East water polo players, East Coast water polo players. We had an East Coast water polo player on our college team. Dirty Dur, we called him. He was squirrely. East Coast. They don't know what they're doing there. I'm kidding. Wolf Weigo's really good. It's a lot of good East Coast players. I've always said we would do way better in the Olympics if we had more East Coast players and Midwest players participating. We have all these swimmers across the country, all these incredible, unbelievably fast swimmers, and none of them playing polo in Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, right in the South. It's like we got some polo on the East Coast in New York, Massachusetts, obviously polo in California, but then where is it in the rest of the country? We're playing with 30% of our possibilities. and we do really well. But imagine how much we would dominate if we had athletics, the athletic potential of 70 more percent of our country, who, by the way, are incredible swimmers. So it makes no sense to me that we don't have water polo in more places. And don't tell me it's because, California is hot. All these places have swim teams. They're all swimming. Well, if you're swimming, you can play water polo. It- I don't get it. The only thing I can think of is the swim teams dominate the pool space everywhere. So if they dominate, like in Ohio, I don't know, do they dominate the pools so that they don't allow polo programs to exist? Like, for example, here at the YMCA, the local YMCA here in Idaho, I asked them, I'm a water polo coach, let's get some polo classes in for the summer. Nope, can't do it. Programming's full. Okay, really? So if someone wanted to run a volleyball class in the gym, you'd say, no, we have basketball. We don't have room for volleyball. Of course not. They'd make room for volleyball. So why don't you make room for water polo? People love it. I told him, I said, the classes will be full. It's easy. It's easy to sell water polo. You're in the pool with a ball. As soon as kids hear that, it's done. So the only thing I can think of is if that's the case across the country, like it is, here and in other places, and they don't allow these polo programs to come in, then shame on them for not allowing them. I don't know why. This should be a topic. Maybe I'll cover this next week. Why swim teams are so afraid of water polo teams. I'm gonna do that next week. Why swim teams are so afraid. I just got my topic for next week, guys. Why swim teams are so afraid. I have some thoughts on it. It's all irrational. And it doesn't go the other way around, by the way. I know polo clubs, you want to go swim? Great. Do it. The best thing is when they have an option where you do half and half, like twice a week you go do swimming, and then twice a week you do water polo, or 3 times you do swimming and twice a week you do water polo, or reversed. For kids, that's the best because then you get to swim, you get to speed, but you're not swimming 5 days a week and get burnt out. You're playing polo. And then you have the choice in high school and college to play a different sport. It's perfect. All right, let me see if there's anything. I'm from Slovakia, so English is not my native language. That's fine, Dushan. Dushan, let me tell you, you do way better in English than I would ever do in Slovakia. Which would be, let's see, what language do you speak in Slovakia? Would that be Croatian? No, Czech. Slovak. Sorry. You do way better in English than I do in Slovak. So your English is outstanding. The advice you gave me about defending worked pretty well. Good. I'm glad, Dushan. Thank you. That makes me feel good. I don't pretend to be the everything of water polo, but I was able to be taught by some pretty darn good water polo coaches in my day, and they taught me a lot about the fundamentals. So I just try to pass that on to you guys as best I can. Oh, you understand Czech, so it's similar. Okay, good. Plyometric exercises for water polo. Plyometric exercises for water polo. I'm gonna say I do not. I'm gonna look into that and some things I think would work well. What comes to mind when you say that is what I was talking about last week, which was yoga and active stretching. I think the best thing, and I'm going to get into this more, the best thing for water polo players and anybody in athletics is active stretching. Anytime you can stretch while you strengthen, I think it's fantastic. And us as water polo players, we're terrible at stretching. We don't take the time to stretch, and consequently, that's when we get injured, or that's when as we're older we get injuries. So if it doesn't affect you while you're a player, it will when you're older, the not stretching. And believe me, I know from experience, especially we're doing all that egg beater in the water, we're working our legs relentlessly, and I don't know about you guys, but we didn't stretch a whole lot when we were in high school and college. Very little. So I highly recommend it right now. There's two things I recommend that I did not do: stretch more and active stretching and yoga. And I'm gonna Chuck, I'm gonna get into some yoga specific ones that'll be great for everybody to do. I am gonna do that. I have it on my list. I would do more stretching if I were to do it over again, and I would wear a mouth guard when I play polo. The mouth guards, especially today, they're nice and thin. There's no reason not to. And I think you would only need one on the top because 90% of the tooth problem you're going to get from a headbutt is going to be on the top. I think it's too hard to wear a bottom and breathe in water polo. But with the thin ones they have on the top now, there's no reason not to wear a mouth guard. In fact, that's a good one too. There is no reason why your kids should not be wearing a mouth guard. Parents, get your kids, they're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14, right? Get them a mouth guard now and get them used to wearing it. And then when they get to high school, it'll just be part of their thing. They won't even know it's there. Mouth guard, I can't recommend it enough. All right, guys, that was great. Great episode. I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. And you guys have a lovely rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon. I'm Coach David. Bye.